I just want to line up an entire choir and shoot them.
This is Mattias Krantz. He is another link on the long chain that makes up the modern YouTubers. One look at his channel and you can tell immediately that his content is catered to a specific type of audience.
You want the iPad? iPad went bye-bye.
When Jack said that Mr. Beast ruined YouTube, even if he stated that he was being hyperbolic later on, he was right. This is the content that does well these days. Now this content is not problematic, it's just brain dead. Yet the approach is taken from better YouTubers with a lot more to offer their audiences than just editing a video to make it look like more happened than what actually did. Like, look at this guy, Mike Shake. His content is insanely brain dead, where he edits his videos to make it look like so much happened and kept failing and achieving something. But then
when the sun was about to go down, this happened.
Now let me be clear, Mattias isn't really that bad. Honestly, I think his content is very good, but you gotta call a spade when you see it. His style of delivery and editing and content in general is based on Mr. Beast's overproduced bullshit content. And let's be honest, it works. And well, one great way to know if your content creator is one of those modern idiots is by the sponsors they keep.
But this pain goes away. Emotional pain can really stick around, and that's why this video is a paid partnership with BetterHelp.
Okay, you shill. How is BetterHelp still a thing?
I'm gonna fucking bash your fucking head against the wall with a brick if you don't shut the fuck up.
Now, even though I would consider myself a fan of Mattias, I mean, I've been watching his content for the last 3 years, I have to say that I can't let his latest video slide without criticism. Gun Piano. This video is a problematic mess. The whole concept should have been scrapped from the beginning. Having people standing on a field and shooting them with paintballs for a few hours in the same relative spot for entertainment is hardly what I would call good content. There is no way in hell that Mattias actually had that planned from the get-go. It is pretty clear from the community post that he made that he wasn't going to use people in the first place. But what made him drop that fence and go into the haha human torture is funny route? Views.
I just want to line up an entire choir and shoot them.
What a magnificent intro this is. When people tell you to use a hook to keep audience retention high, this will definitely pass that requirement. But not necessarily the humane requirement. There aren't many, if any, people talking about how unethical this video is. And honestly, I'm making this video as I find myself to be in a similar spot as before, where a popular content creator is not being called out for what they are doing. At least, not the correct reasons in Doorman's case. And then, after some time passes, it comes out that that person was way worse the whole time. It wouldn't shock me if the volunteers in this video came out and mentioned how painful their experience was, how long it took, how many times they were hit, and how little they were paid, if paid at all.
So I bribed them with pizza and handed out these groin guards to convince them to stay for the finale.
What makes a content creator go from this?
I'm actually sitting by the piano right now, so maybe I can play something.
That sounds kind of serious.
So, just to be clear, I'm not proud of myself right now, guys. He has to drive 80 kilometers to get here, which is like 50 miles, and then he has to drive back. And it's all because of me. No, it's really you, but I agreed to do it, so. Okay. And if he don't like the surprise, it's guitar strings reveal. He has piano wires with him, so it's a well-known murder weapon.
To this.
But one thing we learned is that pain is really effective to get sound out of people. So now we just need to tune them.
Views. Mattias is a YouTube lifer, where his content is sporadic and randomly released. And with a content machine like that, having even one video bomb could spell the death of your YouTube channel.
YouTube being the unknowable entity that it is, its algorithm will either bless you or just leave you in a drought. Do I want to keep creating videos or not? Artistically, I mean, yeah, of course, I'd love to keep on creating videos, but when a video takes 2 to 3 months to make and it performs much worse than expected, that's, you know, a scary position. While I never cared about views or fame as like a status symbol, views are what drive in ad revenue, and I have to play the game in order to sustain myself.
You can't leave your content up to chance. You need to make sure it works out. And if his original concept included only shooting inanimate objects, and if after testing the content's viability with a test screening he found it to be less than engaging, he will do what he must to get the best results or get a real job. The original concept being hitting inanimate objects could be seen in the video itself, like the drum set appearing out of nowhere and not being explained. The video itself would have probably ended here, where he shoots at his cameraman for a few seconds as his cameraman is able to move and shoot back. Otherwise, anything else would be taking it too far. But how far is too far? This is too far. You got a lot of compliments on your content, but this is just not the way to go about it. What was the safety margin in the making of this video? How do you ensure the safety of the volunteers? Well, thing is, paintball safety equipment can be pretty good. There are several options out there. And one clear and obvious one to use is lightweight foam padding that allows for greater mobility. This is something that people who play paintball on a professional level, which apparently exists, would opt in to use. Even though it is less protective than some sort of high durability plastic, foam is great to ensure that your armor doesn't get in the way of your playing the game. Now, thing is, we don't have a great look as to what the protective gear is in this video, considering that everyone is in camo jumpsuits. Oh wait, never mind, this person isn't wearing one, probably because it didn't fit him. So this is the protective gear that he's wearing? Just foam taped around his stomach. Really? Well, who knows, maybe it's some high quality next level protective foam used by NASA on their spaceships. Never mind, we can see where the foam comes from. It's this roll, this yoga mat looking thing. That hardly seems enough. But I hear you. You, an avid paintball player, have looked up and seen the lightweight and extremely thin protective gear that professional paintball players wear, and you are wondering, what is the issue with this? It looks even thicker. This should be even better, shouldn't it be? You just answered your own question. While professional paintball players get shot in many different areas because they are moving around, these people are just sitting in place, getting shot in the same general area. So, dear viewer, would you rather wear this equipment and get shot in the same spot for a few hours, or be able to run around for a few hours, maybe even duck under some cover? Without a doubt, foam was the wrong choice. Even if it barely hurts after being shot once, several hundred shots in the same spot in this cheapo foam doesn't spell ultimate protection. Even if you are wearing several layers under that as well, if you feel it the first time, it will definitely get worse after several hundred shots. It is a no-brainer. Plastic protection that doesn't deform and absorbs all the impact should have been used here instead of whatever this is. But that would defeat the purpose. The whole point of this video is the use of pain to make a person sing a note.
But one thing we learned is that pain is really effective to get sound out of people.
You don't want your notes just to stand there and feel nothing. What is the point? You need your targets to say ouch. And considering that 3 left the video early, it is pretty clear that these people did not get their utmost protection from the proper safety equipment that was used at all times. Bruh. I mean, look at this. This guy was clearly shot above the foam. This lady was clearly shot on the arm, where there was no padding placed. This dude kept rubbing his stomach, where you would assume he had a thick layer of foam stopping the pain. Dude was in intense sharp pain, repeatedly. The amount of shots to the arm are also overwhelmingly large, and you could say that it's either their fault for not putting their arms behind their back. But hang on, why were their hands in front of them at all? It seems like the only people with their hands in front of them were the men, covering their genitals, except Jonas, the guy in yellow. But then you fast forward a bit and you see that Mattias, in order to keep the video rolling and not have more people leave, bribes them with pizza and crotch guards.
So I bribed them with pizza and handed out these groin guards to convince them to stay for the finale.
So you had no crotch guards in the first place? Until that point? More on that later. But Japis, you moron. People left early. 3 in fact. Doesn't that defeat your argument? It is pretty clear that people had the choice to leave. And if they didn't, that means that they didn't have a problem with what they were being subjected to. Well, here's the issue with your immaculate logic. It is true that someone could have left early if they wanted to, but what if these people were told not to leave, please? It is quite clear that Mattias needs these people to be in his video for a while so that he can collect all the footage needed.
My people they are giving up on me. So we need to act fast now, I think. Because if any more people leave now, we're not enough to complete the final experiment.
Someone who is less confrontational and more agreeable would definitely suffer the pain longer in order to not get into a verbal altercation about how you promised blah 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 and this video is blah 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 blah, and you're being paid blah blah blah. And why did you not tell us you would leave sooner? We could have planned this out without you in the first place, blah blah blah. Not saying that Mattias would verbally harass his volunteers, there's no signs of that. But even if there was a low likelihood of that happening, a person who doesn't like to be in confrontations would stomach this and deal with the pain instead of being looked at as this difficult person who can't stand by their promises. Thing is, it is pretty clear that the original concept was shooting inanimate objects, and the clickbait would have been the gun part of the gun piano, not the pain and torture part. And after the video ends, we have the cameraman getting shot by the gun piano as they try to avoid getting hit. Thing is, this part of the video was probably what Mattias and whoever else was working on the video found to be the most engaging, which is why Mattias found it necessary to take the extra step, because if he didn't, he might not have a guaranteed hit on his hands. If the video was just that, hitting inanimate objects, and then the cameraman running around at the end trying to shoot him while being bombarded with paintballs, I wouldn't have had as big of an issue with it. Because even though you're still shooting someone with a paintball gun, or turret in this case, they are able to move, meaning that more than just one area is being hit repeatedly. Modern YouTube causes content creators to go crazy with the whole content-brained approach, where things are judged with, does this get me views before, does that get me judged poorly?
I've made a severe
The overwhelming amount of praise and defense that Logan Paul and Jake Paul and those types of morons, the support that they receive from their audiences is alarming. But you can be sure, the second that they get too big for their trousers, people outside the fandom will find them and judge them for their content poorly, and in the most recent cases, turn into lol cows. This step that Mattias took was one too far, and I would hate to see what else he would do to garner more acclaim if this video got him so much. Since this video is so popular, almost about 1 million views per week, what is to say that his next video wouldn't involve a similar approach? What did he learn from this video? That the human element makes for better content, and when they are being hurt, people will laugh. That is not a good message to give him. Remember that he is on the content-brained approach of YouTube, where he needs a viral hit every time he releases a video. Otherwise, he might have to end his career. Scrolling through his comments, I could rarely find any comments being critical of his approach. The amount of comments that praise his content is alarming, since so many call the pain funny. Okay, you sociopaths, but I did find this comment, one that he actually responded to. You really should have lowered the speed of the paintballs. Then the targets would have been more willing to participate for longer, and would not have been a bloody mess either. I have played paintball for a while and gotten a few bruises and welts, but never that bad from that distance. Those are point blank sort of welts. You are basically abusing them. Yeah, building that without chronoing them was unwise. Agreed, it just felt like cruelty. Actually stopped watching as I don't like the abuse. Not even when it's with consent. And yeah, I agree, this is torture. But then Mattias leaves this next generation comment. All guns were chronographed at 270 frames per second. The bruise scene was faked in the edit to look 10 times worse.
What?
Okay, before we get into the actually problematic part of this response, 270 feet per second is only 30 feet per second away from the max legal range of 300, meaning that you, yes you viewer who has experienced paintball, most likely has taken a 270 FPS ball to the face before, just like I did. I still remember the taste of that paint. So no, 270 FPS is not acceptable. Half it. There's no need to cause them pain. They are just sitting there getting pelted for content, and I doubt they all get a big enough cut from the ad revenue this video generates, as well as the BetterHelp sponsorship. But the real issue here is this. You just admitted that you fake things in your videos to increase the effectiveness of your content. You realize that you just told everyone that all of your content is now under question for legitimacy. Now that we know that we can't trust what you show us, how are we supposed to believe anything you make? Now it's quite likely that he lied in order to cover his ass from the backlash of the amount of damage that he caused to his volunteers. Saying that something is faked is a good way to get out of the amount of criticism that comes with mistreating people. And it is quite likely that he said this because he feared that the backlash would be immense. The comment section makes it seem that this fear was ill-founded, because no one else is really complaining about his actions. But even though I have no proof of this, I would not completely discredit the idea that he curated his comment section to appear more preferable to his side. That being said, I will not be bringing up this point again because there's no proof of this, and it would be hard to prove this either way unless he shows us his comment section from his channel page. So ignoring this likelihood, we have two scenarios. First is that he lied about faking his video to cover cover his ass. The blurring would be unnecessary if further editing was done after the fact, especially if he admits to it. And the editing itself, at least to me, seems quite seamless. Nothing is tracking poorly, so I don't know what part was faked in this shot. Scenario 2 is that he is telling the truth, which leads to further issues. What else was faked in this video? Was the piano even functional? Were the volunteers even in pain? Were they acting the whole time? And if that is the case, then you are admitting that all these people were misled. If what you are saying is that the damage caused by the paintballs was faked and no one was truly hurt, then the people who watched this video and commented on how amazing your video is, who believed in the pain that was exhibited by the volunteers, were blatantly lied to. This doesn't just put into question the legitimacy of this video, it puts into question the legitimacy of your entire channel. Why should I believe any other video you made in the past if you are readily capable of lying to mislead your audience? Is this video real? Is this one real? Who is to say? We all believed you when you made them, but now you put us in an awkward position. As a creator, we take your content at face value, but now everyone who follows you will start to wonder if what you are showing us is real or fake. For example, this phone call to some choir director. Most definitely an AI text-to-speech voice. Sounds like it to me. Mattias, you are better than this. This isn't some grand takedown video. I genuinely am a fan of your content because I believe that you had some wacky ideas that revolved instruments. But when I see content like this coming from you, I start to question what this platform has done to you.
So, just to be clear, I'm not proud of myself right now, guys. He has to drive 80 kilometers to get here, which is like 50 miles, and then he has to drive back. And it's all because of me.
Many months later.
But one thing we learned is that pain is really effective to get sound out of people. Pain is really effective to get sound out of people.
There's a limit to what content you can create. You can't showcase the pain of people with glee and not expect others to find it disgusting.
I wish I could sit here for hours testing and maybe I would be able to play something decent. But my target... friends were wishing for the exact opposite. I already love this piano and I haven't heard a single proper note yet.
Even if it's a character, the personality that you put out there is the one that we would take in as an audience. And what we now see is a person who puts the title of their video ahead of the ethics of said video. Keep that in mind while making your next bit of content. Don't go down with the slippery slope of YouTubers that end up becoming pariahs for the sake of a few million views. As much as I meme on this line, it is quite apt here.
You've got to do better.
Also, do not harass anybody involved in this bit of content. Keep your conversation to this video. I don't mind being harassed when it comes to my content, but the last thing I want is some righteous mob attacking another channel.